as we both know, because we're not on the field anymore. But something that always that I was always taught, and I think you were always taught, and I think it's the way the game is approached. It's not just about the sport. There's so much more to the sport than on the field, and part of that is character building. Part of that is good values and all of that, and we all know that. But we're at a stage where if we don't capitalize on certain things, we're going to lose out. And you're talking about youth. Again in the conversation I had with Mulu, he was very adamant on keeping players in-house. I think he said it quite loudly. He was like, keep them there type thing. And that is so true. That is so true. But I think part of our issue is we're struggling because we don't actually know what we have. What we do know is that a lot of players are in Spielgemeinschafts with other regions, and that's tricky to get around. But youth aside, it's not just and something that's come up a lot in other shows is the building of the women's program and women's sports. How do we bridge that gap in making our women's sport, and especially rugby, because I think rugby is a fantastic sport for women. How do we bring back, not even just bring back girls young women into the region, but also strengthen those teams, strengthen those clubs to make sure that the standard is just as good everywhere else.
I mean, a couple of years back, they started with the sevens program, the regional league, west, north, whatever, south, southwest, and that's when they started here in the Mainz area, the Rhineland, the Rhine-Main area, and I think that was a big key because they had tournaments on regular basis. I think every month there was one somewhere else,
right,
Frankfurt, Mainz, whatever, and you only need you need a little more than 7 players because you need subs, but
sure.
I think 10 people you can easily play a tournament.
Sure.
And if it's only a tournament every other month, you should easily come through the league. And I think this is what we need to force more. We need to go to the clubs and say, hey, why don't you do women's rugby as well? And that opens so many more doors, because you're not particularly focused on one team, men's team, but brings so much more. And again, this is what a club should be. It shouldn't be a men's club only.
Yes.
It should be like everybody.
It should be inclusive.
And in order to do that, I mean, and that's the thing. Usually, the way you become a trainer in Germany is you're a player. It's at some point, and either you get injured, or maybe you're not as good, or maybe you don't want to play anymore, and then usually you become a trainer. But becoming a trainer is so much easier than I think anywhere else in the world. In Germany, becoming a rugby trainer, for at least,
right.